Up, guys? Ronin Man here. Hey, this whole story about Nasim Aghdam, how she went to the YouTube headquarters and started shooting people, is it's really a very complex, interesting story. Many aspects of it. Her life, also her profession as a YouTube creator, and also the reaction of the media. It's all very interesting, and I want to I wanted to give my take. Obviously, it's still early. The shooting just happened, and so we're going to have more information coming out later. But I wanted to give kind of even if imperfect, kind of some thoughts. I wanted to add some thoughts because as myself, having spent most of my life overseas, I lived overseas for 28 years. It's completely, I have a different perspective. I can understand where she's coming from a lot more than the average American, and why she came and how she views the United States and how she thinks about freedom is very different than somebody back home. And it's much more sincere, I would say. So I wanted to go into that. And also, the way the media writes about her is very, very different than they would write about, for example, a white male American. And I want to talk about a little bit about that too. But and also I want to talk about the YouTube, the way they're handling creators is really, really interesting. And this is definitely a factor in this one. It's very easy when you see like somebody shoots people, right? It's very easy to say, oh, they're crazy. And a lot of people will be satisfied with something like that. But in this case, I think that there is some, obviously you can't say that the person who shoots innocent people who, because she just went and shot random people, you can't say that's a rational motive at all. There's no way you could twist that around. But at the same time, the pain that she was in is relevant, very, very relevant because of who she was. That's also very interesting. Although I would say that anybody who has their profession, taken away from them, it's very painful. But let's talk about this. So the first thing I want to say, just kind of comment, just kind of general thing, is we're looking at the New York Times here, and the headline here: Vegan bodybuilder. How YouTube attacker Nasim Aghdam went viral in Iran. It's quite strange because if you look at, let's look at, here's the article from the New York Times, both New York Times, soon after the shooting in Las Vegas. And the title is Multiple Weapons Found in Las Vegas Gunman's Hotel Room. Okay? And then back here, vegan bodybuilder. So this is her brand. So as a YouTube creator, you make a brand, right? You brand yourself, and they're repeating your brand. And if you have a YouTube channel for the media, like say the New York Times, to repeat the branding that you gave yourself, vegan bodybuilder, is really a dream come true because they're basically promoting for you. When they quote your, what you're trying to promote yourself as in the exact same words, it's a compliment, and it's very good for your brand. So it's interesting that they would start with that. It has nothing to do with the story, but they basically are saying, it's almost like New York Times bestseller type of thing. It's like this is her moniker, this is her tagline, right? So okay, YouTube attacker and Nasim Aghdam went viral in Iran. So different than what they wrote here. Multiple weapons found in Las Vegas gunman's hotel room. Okay, so let's see next. Next thing is we have a picture of her when she's 5 years old. A cute picture of her in the flowers. So, that's interesting right there. Very different than what we get here. Here we get kind of a diagram of the shooting. Obviously, you have an audio here. And let's see what else. What other things here? You have victims laying on the ground, and you have police coming to help. You have the aftermath of the shooting. You don't have a lot of pictures of him as a 5-year-old boy, in the Boy Scouts or something, right? Which is very similar to what we're looking at there. A very cute picture, right? That's different. These things matter. These things matter. They really matter. When someone goes on a shooting rampage and they get, a headline like this, and people use their cutest pictures, and also that picture was something that she posted on social media before she went in and shot people. So that's the image that she wanted, people to remember her by, and they obliged her, right? They used the same picture. They used her branding in the title, and they also used the picture that she wanted people to remember her by. So so far it's like a what do you call it? It's like a tribute, to her, basically. Okay, so talk about her in Iran, here in the United States. They're talking about her brand. In Iran, her brand was Green Nasim, apparently. So she's a media star. Okay, the word star, that's kind of a positive word, in YouTube, Instagram, and elsewhere. In the United States, she cast a different profile: vegan diets, animal rights, and home exercise. So this is like the branding that she had, right? Let's see here. So they quoted her here: "People like me are not good for big business, like for animal business, medicine business, or many other businesses. That's why they are discriminating and censoring us." Okay, now this is what she said in her video, and on this one I'm going to take her side because it's well known how this whole thing works. Like, for example, when YouTube terminates a channel, before they terminate the channel, there's a series of things they do. So generally what happens is, I'm going to use Paul Logan here as an example. Paul Logan made a video in Aokigahara, I think it is, in Japan. And it's a forest, a suicide forest. And so that suicide forest is quite interesting. Like a lot of people in Japan, when I was living there, they used to talk about that all the time. I always wanted to go there myself. I never did. So he went there and he made a video and he found a dead body, right? So immediately there was a group called Change.org who created a campaign against him to have his channel terminated. So he made a video that people didn't like, and I wasn't fond of it. I'm not fond of his videos, just to let you know where I'm coming from. But it's still at the same time, being terminated, having your account terminated is super serious because you lose everything as a creator. I'm a YouTube creator. I have several channels, and having a YouTube channel is a very interesting. It's a very interesting sociological experiment because you create a rapport with people online. People that are interested in what you're talking about are attracted to you, and they come to you. And so the listeners now, I consider most of you guys friends, and because you chose, out of all the things you could be listening to, you chose to listen to my channel. And the reason why is because I see the comments, I get the emails. I have many emails from people that said they were going to commit suicide and they decided not to after listening to my channel. I get a lot of heartfelt messages. I got a 3-page letter today from somebody in Europe and telling me his whole life story. I get a lot of stuff, and I know that there's a deep connection, and people are, they're feeling the same way that I look at life. They look at it the same way. And so I think this is important in this story because she is an immigrant. She didn't have much support. She had her family, right? But she left most of her family, I'm sure, in Iran. You don't take everybody you know with you, right? Your friends and family stay home. And that creates loneliness. It makes you feel separate. And also you have culture shock, which never goes away, by the way. Culture shock lasts as long as you're alive. You have different levels of culture shock. First you see the simple things like, chopsticks instead of forks. And then you see, different things. And eventually you start seeing the difference in how people look at the terms like truth, and how children are raised. And then finally things like how death is viewed, how love is viewed, how relationships are viewed, how work is viewed. There's so many things, and you could just go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of cultural shock. So she was lonely, and she had this YouTube channels. They were quite big. And some of them were in the US and some of them were in Iran. And I'm sure that was by design. So she had a bunch of people in Iran that she could talk to and give advice to before they came to the United States. If they wanted to come, she could talk to them about stuff. And then she also had her audience here that was not Iranian, who would be very different for her. And the way they would talk would be different, and the way they would react. And this is very gratifying for a content creator. It's very enjoyable, very enjoyable. I know Ronin Man gets a lot of views outside the U.S. too, and in India and different countries, Germany, and so I really appreciate and enjoy getting emails and getting comments from people all over the world. And the reason why is not because of some United Nations international bullshit thing. It's because of the different viewpoints that you get around the world about things. And sometimes they're quite cutting, their viewpoints. So she had this, when people talk about YouTube creators, they often only talk about money. Like they're making this much money per day. The reason why I'm telling you this, I'm probably going on too long about this, but what I'm trying to tell you is that there's an emotional connection. It's very deep too. It's very surprising. You don't expect it when you start a channel, but when it happens, you're like, oh, wow, I understand. It's like, whoa, this is heavy. So when you take someone's channel down, they lose all ability to connect with all their friends that they met. And also they lose all the social proof of all the comments. They lose all the ideas that people gave them when they commented and replied to comments and links that they left. When you make a channel, it's something that you think is always going to be there. And then, often people don't even have a backup of their videos. Several of my friends have had their YouTube channels taken down in different niches, in MGTOW, but also in other niches too. I have a lot of friends who are making YouTube channels. So I've seen this a lot. And whenever they get their channels taken down, it's really brutal. It's not fun. It's like very sad, They almost have to rethink their whole life, because when you have a big channel, like you have a lot of views, you are able to do stuff, interact with whatever you want to do. You have options. And when they're all taken away, it is pretty big deal. But I also want to say is that there are different levels. Okay, the pain is in levels. Okay, so here with Logan Paul, the first thing they did was they suspended ads so that he couldn't monetize his videos. So for some people, that's quite important, losing your way to earn money, because full-time YouTube people, they're making videos, right? So they lose that thing. Now I never monetize my videos, so this is not I don't use the Google monetization feature, so that's not my thing. But for some people that do, it's a big deal, right? It's like all of a sudden the ads are gone and any revenue that you had disappears. But it's even more complex because sometimes they shut it down. Like I have a friend who has a big channel. It's a conspiracy channel, and he was making $1,500 a month, and then suddenly, he only has 13,000 subscribers at the time, but they were very loyal. And suddenly he went from $1,500 a month to less than $100. So obviously YouTube changed their, rules. They didn't tell him anything, didn't say anything. They never said there's no recognition, nothing. But his videos went down to less than 10%, just overnight. And I think people that don't have a channel can't really understand how frustrating that kind of stuff is. Because it's not just about the money. It's for my friend. My friend has plenty of money. What it was for him, it was like, it's just unfair. Like, one day you're making this much money, and the next day you're making less than 10%. It's very weird. It's YouTube is playing a lot of games, and they're doing this kind of stuff to a lot of creators. And it's not that surprising that one of them would go off the rails, like this woman did. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. Here we go. Ads. They won't ban. Okay. Let's see. So now there's different things they can do. Also, there's other things they can do besides taking down ads and terminating a channel. So basically, termination is the final straw, right? So you'll have something called a community strike. But the community strikes are interesting because if you read the community guidelines, which YouTube has here, this is support.google.com here, YouTube answer. You have your hate speech, harassment, impersonation, etc., etc. Okay, etc. These are the rules right here. This is it. Here's the rules. Let's see here. Community guidelines. So you can read these community guidelines. And here's the thing that is frustrating that I don't think non-YouTube creators really understand is that the community guidelines are very clear. Okay, they're not confusing. Nudity, they're very clear. The thing is, what's happening is a lot of channels, I should say every channel that I know that's been taken down, didn't actually violate any of the terms. There was no nudity, there was no topless girls, there was nothing like that. It was just like, it was an excuse. And so they said, okay, you broke the community guidelines, and then they give you a couple chances that you can protest. But what generally happens when they protest is that here's a forum of people that had their YouTube channels taken down, right? So this guy had 104,000 subscribers. That's huge, man. That's massive, right? Now, he just had it taken down, so he didn't realize that this is YouTube's policy, like to not explain things, to basically to lie, to say that he broke a rule that he didn't break, right? And basically you have to prove yourself innocent of these things. And when you protest, you can write, as much as you want, and they'll just send another reply saying, we don't accept that. Basically, your channel's still down or your channel's up. I had a video once that was YouTube took it down, and it was my interview with a porn star video, and it was just an audio. It was we weren't talking about anything, nothing. There was no adult stories or anything like that. It was just me, and you can listen to it. It's back up now. Me and John talking, a friend of mine he makes porn, and we were talking about his experience, and they took it down. YouTube took it down, and they give you a chance to protest. And so I put it up on another video sharing channel, and it got a lot of views. And so I sent it back to YouTube, and I said, hey, you took it down. There's no nudity. I went specifically into the rules, like, this and this and this and this. I wish I had the email to send you to show you right now, but basically I hadn't broken any rules that they said I did. So, and then I showed them that I was getting a lot of views from that video on another channel. And so the tone of my email was kind of like very easygoing. It was like, well, don't worry about it. It's no problem, but it's going viral on its other video sharing channel. So, whatever. If you want to put it back up, that'd be great. And they did. And so the video is now up. So, but it was weird to me because when they put it up, they didn't send me anything. In other words, okay, if something's taken down because I did something wrong, right? Or they say I did something wrong, and then I protest it and I win, that means I didn't do anything wrong, right? So they made a mistake, right? But when they put the video back up, they didn't say anything. They didn't say, hey, we apologize. Obviously, you didn't break the rules, very clearly. You didn't have any of this or this or this that you correctly stated in your email. So we apologize for any, trouble this has caused you, and your video is now back up. And here's a free $25 Starbucks gift certificate, right? That would be something that I would think would be a normal thing. Like when you make a mistake, right? You make a mistake, and then the company does something to kind of make up for it. YouTube, it's very different. And I want to tell you, as a content creator, it feels like a slap in the face, even if you win. Even when I won, I was kind of like, Like, that's weird. Like, it was really weird. It was a weird experience. Okay, so here's this guy here. I just want to read it real quick. He had 104,000 subscribers. That is huge. And 100 million views. Right? I put a lot of work and effort into my videos, and now everything is gone. It just happened out of nowhere, and I have absolutely no idea why. I do not even have backup of my 3,000 videos. This guy made 3,000 videos. That is a hell of a lot of videos. My years of work gone in vain. I really need help getting my account reinstated. This is a complete disaster for me as I started my career as YouTube. Can someone please review my YouTube channel as soon as possible? I have requested a review, but I always get the same automated reply. We decided to keep your account under suspension. Please help me. Now, this is another creator, obviously, but Droid Gameplay, so it's a gaming channel. And again, it's like this. His feeling here is really common when people get their channels taken down. They almost can't believe it. It's like, and then Google just sends a standard form, and then he fills it out, and then they send him back another standard form saying that he didn't get it. There was no back and forth, or you said this and this and this and this was true, but this was not true, so we've decided to keep your channel down. Nothing like that. Just an automatic response. Now, he made 3,000 videos. Do you have any idea how much work that is? 3,000 videos. Even just uploading 3,000 videos is an insane amount of work. That's crazy amount of work. Then you talk about editing 3,000 videos, getting the sound right, the lighting right, shooting the videos, editing the videos, planning the videos, writing the notes for the videos or the script. I don't know if he scripts or he does ad lib, but it's an insane amount of work. I mean, Hollywood producers make like 10 movies, 12 movies in their whole lifetime. This guy made 3,000 videos. Now, obviously, it's not the same, but it's still a lot of work. This guy he is putting his whole life into YouTube, and they will just shut it down. He has no idea why. There's no human he can talk to, and so this type of thing, I can see it leading to frustration for YouTube content creators. Obviously, again, I'm not saying that this is any excuse for this girl to shoot, but I'm just saying that if you take away someone's life's work and the community they built, and it's even worse than that. Actually, it's even worse than that. I don't think people realize this. When YouTube takes down your channel, they also not only take down the channel, they bar you from even having a Gmail account ever again under any name. So you lose the right to have another YouTube channel. So you're not supposed to be able to make another YouTube channel. It's not like, oh, this channel's down, but your other channel's good. No, it's like all channels down. You as a person you have the letter A on your chest. You no longer can have any Google related product at all. You cannot use any of them. You are banned from all Google products forever. There's no time limit. You can never use a Google product again. And I don't think people realize how unfair that is. That is seriously unfair. So, for example, if you have a Gmail account that you use for work, you might have, I have my email account. I have probably, 10, 20,000 emails in there over the years, and all my clients' phone numbers and, correspondence. So when your channel gets shut down, everything gets shut down. There's no warning. There's no like, hey, back up your email. We're going to shut it down. No, it's like you go to log in, you can't get in. Everything's gone. You can't reply to new emails. You can't set up an automated response saying, hey, look, my channel's been taken down. Please send it to this new email. No, it's like, screw you. And this type of thing, YouTube does not. I really think that the people running these, the people that are reviewing YouTube channels do not understand what this does to you when you're sitting alone in your house, especially somebody who made thousands of videos. Obviously bought a lot of cameras, spent a ton of money, and spend a lot of time and often hired a professional. For one of my YouTube channels, I hire a professional videographer to follow me around. And we rented a car for 2.5 months to drive around the U.S. to shoot videos. So this type of thing is very expensive, very expensive. And so, but I would have that channel taken down too, if my other channel was taken down. So it's really, there's some really crazy stuff going on. I can definitely see why it would be very, very frustrating for somebody like this woman. And I want to go back to her. Okay, so she says it's not very good for business, and I think a lot of her frustration. Oh yeah, there's one other step they can do. Okay, so for example, before you get terminated, there's a series of things they choke you. So one of the things is they demonetize the videos. Okay, fine. Next thing they do is they give you community strikes. So 3 strikes and you're out. But if you start getting strikes, you're basically fucked. That's what I see. My friends that start getting strikes, they always have their channel taken down. So the problem with those strikes is, the very big problem is that, as we saw with change.org, is that if you make a video about any group of people, so let's say you make a group about a cult, say there's a religious cult, like Scientology, for example. If you make a video about Scientology, Scientology is a very organized, religion, and they have a lot of followers, believers. And so if they wanted to, they could easily, and I'm not saying Scientology in particular, I'm just saying any religious group could organize a lot of people to flag your videos. So basically to say, hey, this is inappropriate. The problem is, if your video gets flagged inappropriate, YouTube's policy is basically just to take you down. They don't it's pretty obvious, a lot of this stuff. Like if you make a video, say, against a certain religious group, and then your channel's taken down, it's pretty obvious that a group organized and then flagged your channel, right? It's like, duh, okay, yeah, right. But again, YouTube treats those flags as organic flags. They don't accept the fact that this can be organized or even paid. So you could pay somebody to take down somebody's channel. So you could, get a company in the Philippines or India, and all they do is they just get a bunch of housewives who flag videos. They just flag, and those videos will get taken down. Those channels will get taken down. And so there's no recognition on YouTube's part that there are nefarious reasons why people would want a channel taken down. Maybe it's a business competitor. Maybe it's a group that has an entrenched interest in something that you're unmasking, right? They would flag your videos even if your videos didn't break any guidelines. So you're really walking on eggshells, because if too many people complain about you, you're out. You're out of YouTube. Now, I want to also say is the reason why I'm making this video is because I really want YouTube to reevaluate the way that strikes are given, demonetization happens, channels are terminated, and one other thing which we haven't talked about yet, which is being taken out of suggested videos. So this is another step down to hell. All these things happen to you. When they happen to you the first time, you don't even understand what's happening. But what happens is, what she talked about was her videos that she had suddenly stopped getting views. And so what happened was, what that means is Google took her out of the suggested videos section. So when you watch a video, you might watch a video about a certain band playing music. There'll be a suggested video like, oh, would you like to see the band playing that song live, right? And you're like, oh, that's a good idea, right? Suggested videos were like, I don't know what percent, but I think it's like 70% of traffic comes from suggested videos. So when you're taken off of suggested videos, it screws you. It really screws you. And this is how YouTube is doing it, how it's acting. Now, they don't give you any notification of this. So that's what makes it very frustrating for a content creator is like, one day you're getting all these views, the next day you're not. And then you find out, you're trying to figure out what the hell happened. Like, what's going on here? And then, like maybe if you hire a professional, whatever, you're going to figure it out that you're no longer in the suggested videos. And this is what happened to a lot of YouTube channels. And it's like really frustrating because it's not something that's talked about, or it's not something that you could understand. Like if you're new, this never happened to you, you wouldn't even understand what's happening. You'll be like, why are my videos not getting views anymore? And so YouTube content creators tend to stick together because all this stuff happens to you and there's no explanation. So what we have to do is we have to ask people like, hey, my views, I suddenly stopped getting views. Like what's going on? And then a more experienced creator will say, oh, they're doing this to you, right? But someone like Miss Aghdam, who maybe doesn't have a lot of friends who are making YouTube videos like I do, she might have been totally confused. Like, what the hell happened? Like, they're fucking me over, basically, and she was pretty angry about it, right? And so I think that at the very least, I really think that YouTube should not allow organized groups to be able to take down, like, feminist groups, religious groups, what would be other, any organized group. Like, it's just too easy. They can put out the call and then everybody does it, right? It's like, boom, channels down. It just doesn't, it's free speech is really under attack. And it's frustrating too, because she said here, which was interesting, and I think it was very related to what we're talking about right here. She said that, where is it here? Life in the United States has not been good. She said in one video from March 30th, talking about Iran, right? There they kill you by axe, she said of Iran. Here they kill you with cotton, referring to an Iranian expression mean dying something you don't know is dangerous. So it's like this confusing thing that you don't understand is happening to you. That's what she's talking about here. It's like she couldn't understand why her videos are not getting views anymore, why her profession, she considered her profession, was being choked. There was no explanation. There was nobody calling her. There was no warnings. It was just suddenly, boom, no views. So that in itself is enough to kill a lot of creators. And so what it does is it creates content creators that are very wealthy. They're the only ones who can survive. Now, of course, when the channel gets terminated, then they also go down. But my take on this woman is she's pretty sincere, actually. She says here, if you're superficial, she said, talking about the United States, you will think it's heaven here. You can go naked outside and have sex left and right like other animals without any morality. But if you enter the system, you will see that it is worse than Iran. Those who want to inform people against the system and big companies get censored. So basically, is if you have a channel that's just not popular amongst powerful people. That's essentially what she's saying. And I think that's also very true. And I do have some sympathy for YouTube because obviously Google's a business, YouTube's a business, and it's allowed me to have my channels, and I appreciate that. And also I know that YouTube doesn't make much money. I don't know if it's still unprofitable, but it might be. It might still be unprofitable. Now, obviously, it brings in a lot of benefits to Google and everything, but it's not a big money maker. YouTube it's not like they're making zillions of dollars off of us. A lot of people misunderstand. It's nice that they're doing this. I'm glad that they're doing this. And the problem is there's not a lot of other options. It's like, so the logic is if you got kicked off of YouTube, who cares? Because you can just go somewhere else. But that's not the way it is, because YouTube is all about traffic. It's all about traffic. Maybe it would be like something like if you were kicked off the music charts and then you could start with a new song again, trying to get back onto the charts, but you can never predict if that song's going to be popular because of the finicky tastes of consumers and things like that. It's like it's easier said than done. Just start off on Vimeo or something and you can get viral. Nobody gets viral on Vimeo, is one thing. And even if you did, they might have some policies too, right? But I don't know if they do or not. But basically, there's not a lot of options. You're either on YouTube or you're not. YouTube it's kind of a monopoly on the video streaming stuff. The only other monopoly would be in the porn area. They don't have a monopoly on that. There's more than you think. There's more porn on YouTube than you think, but you have to know how to search for it. But Pornhub and these other sites, they're the first ones to, they got screwed over by YouTube. They wouldn't allow them to put videos, so they made their own site, and they successfully broke away. And I think it was a big mistake of YouTube, actually. I think they should have made another channel, not under the YouTube brand, but they should have held on to that traffic. But they didn't. And what I think might happen is that, more and more people, content creators, are not happy. It's not going to be good long term for YouTube. And I just want to say, final thing, I just want to say that Logan Paul, who again I'm not a fan of, but he was, Change.org was trying to, take him down. They were trying to, this is the page here, the termination of Logan Paul's channel. They're trying to get 1,852 have signed. Let's get to 2,500. And then they have the names there. So basically it's an organized group trying to get this guy's channel taken down. Which I said, I already think this is very unfair. It's very unfair that this could happen to somebody. That they didn't break the rules of engagement. So when you buy a product from a company, there's rules, like they have the right to refuse service at most restaurants. If you break the rules, right? That's fine. But the difference is, if in a restaurant the other customers could say, "Hey, all of us think that you should kick that guy out of the restaurant," and then the owner kicks him out of the restaurant. It's very different than if the restaurant owns it. They say, "Hey, let's, we're going to kick him out." But these groups that are pressuring YouTube to take these guys down, it's like the customers in a restaurant saying, it's like they have nothing to do with the guy. Like there's the company and there's the creator. That's it. If you don't want to watch a channel, you just don't watch it, right? You know what I mean? If you don't want to watch something, there's going to be some exceptions, as there always are in life, maybe with like beheading videos and things like that. I could see those ones being taken down, but anything that's like they're committing murder, that's illegal. Anything that's just distasteful or not popular with you or me, this is the kind of stuff. I mean, of course you feel like, hey, they shouldn't be allowed to say this or do this, but same time, it's like this. That's just our opinion, right? We don't like the guy for some reasons, but it doesn't. That's just too whimsical to base his career on my feeling. It's like he didn't break any rules, he didn't break the terms of agreement, he didn't break any laws. Hey, the guy's got a channel, right? Good on him, right? And he's getting a lot of views. Now, I wanted to say one thing is Logan Paul and Alex Jones have a thing in common. Both of their channels were almost taken down for different reasons. Actually, Jordan Peterson too. Jordan Peterson's was taken down and his Gmail was blocked where he couldn't log in. And then he protested to his followers, and he has like zillions of followers. And then they made a lot of noise, and then he got his channel back up. But when they interviewed him about it, he said, it's not fair because I have a lot of influence. I'm a professor, and he has a lot of views. And he says, I got my channel back, but the average Joe could not. And in this case, we're talking about Miss Ogden. She didn't have the power. She didn't have the friends to get taken back. Now, Logan Paul, he does. Again, Logan Paul's channel is still up. You can see it right here. So they really tried to take it down, but it's still there, right? Partly because he has a lot of friends. He has a lot of views. But is this the world we want to live in, that, companies can essentially take away your way of earning your life, your living, based on other people that don't like you or are paid to take you down? It just doesn't, it's not right. It's not right. You know what I mean? It's just really seriously not right. And also content creators, they're not CBS, right? They're just like normal people, and they don't have a voice, but YouTube gave them a voice. So I think in general that there are more YouTubers who are somewhat, what do you call it? They're not as strong, you know what I mean? They're not as well supported. There's no psychologist there to counsel them, to help them. It's like they're being hit by all these things. Nothing is explained to them. And then they're losing like their way to earn money and the community that they built, and even their own email and their ability to make another email. Like their mom sends them emails, they lose that, they can't see their mom's email. They can't even respond if they don't remember their friends' emails. It's like, unless they're on their Facebook or something, it's not easy, It sounds easy, but if it happens to you, like if you ever have your account hacked where you can't log in for a while, you'll realize that there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't have a backup of, that you'd love to have a backup of. Clients, phone numbers, emails, copy of ads that you wrote, discussions that you had with people, documents that people forwarded to you. It's like a lot of stuff you think it's no big deal, but if you lose access to your main email account, it can be pretty traumatic, just that alone. Not to mention your job, essentially, and also all your friends online and your ability to contact them. It's like you're just completely out. You're just out in the cold, And I think that this is not necessarily just a MGTOW problem, but a lot of channels that are not mainstream, this is happening to them. So I think there's got to be a couple of things, possibilities. One is that we raise enough money to make another competitor. Obviously, this is a huge undertaking. And I'm not talking small money. I'm talking like a serious competitor to YouTube, like a blockchain-based thing that there was no way to take the videos down. But building it and getting the traffic to it are two different things. It would be one of the like really enormous challenges in the world to do this. And no big company would back it, because every big company has advertisers and partners. And somebody's going to be offended by one of these videos. You know what I mean? It's just like, and they're going to pressure them to take it down or to censor it in some way. So the only way that you could make a channel that was unblockable, unblackmailable, would be to build it from scratch, but also to somehow build the traffic from scratch. Because it's fool's gold to have your video up on another channel. It's fool's gold because no one's going to watch it. And it's all about interaction. It's all about traffic. It's all about people commenting, liking, sharing, so the idea that you could easily go to another site, it's like no problem, is not true. It's not true. And I think that's what Nasim Aghdam was in her situation. Is she lost everything, and she was like, I don't think her channel was actually taken down, but she thought it was taken down. She didn't understand. I read quite a few things. She misunderstood a couple of things. She understood some things, like she understood that she was no longer in suggested videos. She'd been demonetized. Certain things she understood, but there's a few things that she didn't understand, and that might have been what pushed her over the edge. I know that YouTube was having some issues the day that she did the shooting, and so maybe she might have thought her channel was down. Some YouTuber was theorizing that perhaps she thought her channel was down because of that day you couldn't see a lot of things, you couldn't upload things. So I don't know if that's the case, but what that opens up is the door that if you have a harsh policy that is not explained in person, don't be surprised if people overreact, and don't be surprised if they misunderstand, because things are not going to be explained. Things like off the suggested videos, no one explains that to you. But it's the most devastating thing to a content creator, because most of your traffic, your new traffic, your lifeblood comes from that. Even your regular viewers, some of them are not subscribers. They see you through suggested videos over and over and over. That's how they watch your videos. I have a lot of channels like that I've watched for years, and then all of a sudden I realize I haven't subscribed. They just keep showing up in my feed because the algorithm is putting them in there as like, you might like this video. But if you have broken some unseen rule, some invisible rule, then they will take you off that thing, where your regular viewers won't see you unless they're subscribed to you, right? So it's a pretty tough situation. And again, I do have sympathy for YouTube. I have friends who work at YouTube. I have a lot of friends who work at Google. I have great respect for Google and what they've done. You know, I read all the Sergey Brin and books, and I've really been a big fan of Google ever since it came out. You know, when Alta Vista was the main search engine I used, you know, and Yahoo, you know. So I mean, I am a fan of Google and YouTube, and I think YouTube is amazing. I watched a video the other day, was Japan in the 1800s, and then another video was the Philippines in the Spanish era. It was amazing. I mean, somebody made that video in the 1800s. Cameras were just invented, video cameras, and they posted on YouTube for free. And I was able to see the clothing they were wearing back then. It was very interesting, you know. So I am a fan of YouTube, and I watch YouTube is I would say my main entertainment, as also my education. I study on YouTube a lot, and I believe it's a very positive thing in my life. Even when I go to sleep, I put on a YouTube video, you know. So that's how I go to sleep. I turn on a YouTube video, I listen to it till I fall asleep, and that's what I'm going to do in a few minutes because I'm beat, you know. So I hope that this stuff touches pay dirt, you know, that we get some kind of understanding that YouTube's just too big, and you can't just kick people off, and you can't just expect that they're going to find another way to do it, because there really aren't any other ways. YouTube really is the only game in town when it comes to traffic and viral videos, and giving back to the creators and creating networks and, you know, sustainable followings. YouTube is the one. You know, that's why I'm on YouTube. That's why I didn't switch. You know, vid.me was up for a while. That went bankrupt. You know, so even like competitors that look pretty good pop up for a few months, a year or two, whatever, they're gone. YouTube's still there, right? So I hope that we can find a way to treat content creators with more respect, and that this attack, which again, I'm not saying it's justified in any way, shape, or form. You're shooting innocent people is not. It's just, you know, come on. This is the people that she shot, which is people eating lunch. You know, like they had nothing to do with her channel, right? But the smart way to think about this, I would say, is a canary in the coal mine, is that YouTube, you know, this one here, some of the people that were listening to her videos, they said, this was saddening and shocking, said one Iranian, Bahare, wrote on his Twitter. We laughed so much, but now it turns out these videos were so serious for herself. And I think that's the message I want to say, is that content creators, a lot of people just say, oh, content creators just want to make money, or they want to do this. I really, that's really not true. A lot of content creators, this is like something that they really, it's a very important thing for them. It's like one of their most cherished things they do. Not kidding. It's just, it's really like the content and the connection that you create online, and the ability, even when you make a mistake, like your followers or listeners will correct you, and that turns into like almost like you're mentoring them and they're mentoring you. There's a lot of heavy, deep stuff going on here, and it's a beautiful thing because like-minded people get together, and so I hope that we see more of this, whether it's on YouTube or if there's a serious competitor that comes along that somehow doesn't have the big advertisers that they have to listen to. I have sympathy for YouTube too. It's difficult, man. Having a company, it's very easy to criticize. That's one thing I know for sure. I've worked at a lot of businesses. I've run a lot of businesses. I've started businesses, and I know that from the outside it's easy to say stuff, but when you're inside, it's sometimes not so easy. So I hope that the people that were shot recover. I know that there's been no deaths. It sounds like they're maybe flesh wound type of thing. So I hope that's the case, and I hope that they do recover. And I also hope that content creators get a break, and there is some understanding that she's passed away now, but she gave us a message from beyond that I hope resonates, with people at YouTube and around the world, So there we go, guys. I'm so tired. I'm going to go sleep right now. Anyway, thanks for listening, and really appreciate it. As I said in my video, a lot of content creators take this seriously, and I'm one of those people. So I do very much appreciate you guys and all your comments, and girls too. Like I said, there's 7% and rising of females listening to my channel, which is blows my mind, and I'm very grateful for all you guys and anybody who's a rational human being who wants to talk about these thorny, difficult issues. You're welcome on this channel. All right, see you later.